Hiya Year 10. So what we're going to do now is go through the key marking task that you did last lesson. So you need it in front of you now, so pause this if you haven't got it. And what I'd like you to do is mark it as you're going through it with me. I'd rather do this rather than give you a mark scheme so you can see how we get the marks, and if you don't understand a question, how I would do the question myself. Okay, you do have a formal assessment next lesson, so you can use this key marking task to help you, so it's important that you look at how to do each question. Okay, so the first one, 45 kilometres an hour into meters per second. So we know that 45 kilometres, okay, is going to be 45,000 meters. Okay, we know that's in 1 hour, so we want to know that's how many seconds. So there's 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute, so that's 3,600 seconds. Okay, so now we've got our units in the way that we want them. So 45,000 divided by 3,600 gives me 12.5 meters per second. Okay, number 2. Okay, so force is applied to area of 6 meters squared. So we want to actually work out the pressure, okay, in newtons per meter square. So it's simply going to be 30 over 6 is 5 newtons per meter square. Now, when there is no units here, always make sure that they're in the answer. Obviously, it did ask you to have it there. Number 3. Okay, so we know that density is mass over volume. Okay, and we want to work out the mass. So mass is density times volume. So we know the density is 0.6, and the volume, well, the volume of this one will be 10 times 5 times 4, okay, which will be 200. So 0.6 times 200, okay, which will be 120 grams. Okay, make sure you've got the correct units there for that one. Okay. Question 4. Okay, so we've got, this time we're going backwards, so 120 meters in a second. Remember we said there were 3,600 seconds in a minute, in an hour, sorry. So for this one here, I would simply do 120 multiplied by 3,600, which gives me that many meters in an hour. Now I would like that into kilometers, so I've got to divide by 1,000, so that will be 432 kilometers per hour. Okay, number 5. Okay, again, we're given the formula here, so sometimes you'll notice in the exam they may give you the formula, they may not. Okay, I've noticed that they have been given it because it was new on the GCSE, but I think over time they will start taking it off. Okay, so we're actually wanting to work out the force, so force is pressure multiplied by area. Okay, so we know that the pressure is 48, and we know that the area, well, the area of the base will be 2 times 3, which will be 6. Okay, so that gives us 288 newtons. Okay, again, there was no units there, so I need to put the units in, and remember those ones that we came up, so the force will be measured in newtons. Okay. Okay, question 6. So first of all, we need to find the volume of the tank. So the volume is going to be 4 times 2 times 1, which will be 8 meters cubed. Okay, and we know a litre is 0.001 meter cubed. So 8 divided by 0.001 will be 8,000 litres. So we know that 8,000 litres are going to fit into that tank. We know that it's 125 litres per minute, so we're going to do 8,000 divided by 125, okay, which will give us 64 minutes. Okay, question 7. Okay, we know that A is directly proportional to C. So remember, we'd use that proportional sign. So now, it doesn't say that I've got to find the equation, but that's what I have to do. So I have to find that K value. So A is equal to K multiplied by C. Now, I know when A is 44, and I know that C is 10. So I can see that K is 44. So my formula then will be A equals 4.4 C. So there's my formula. Now find A when C is 40. So that's going to be A is 4.4 multiplied by 40, which will be 176. Okay. Find the value of C when A is 110. Okay, lots of you were stuck on this the other day when you had it in your questions there. So you put the value over the other side. So 110 is equal to 4.4 multiplied by C. Okay, we want to find the value of C, so I'm going to do 110 divided by 4.4, which will give me 25. So C will be 25. Okay. So a motorbike costs 8,500 and decreases by 18% a year. Billy's done this calculation, so he's found 18% and then he doubled it. So what Billy's done, he's worked out the simple reduction rather than the compound. So what he should have done, okay, he should have done 8,500 multiplied by 0.82 to the power 2, which gave you 2784.60. okay, because it's money. So we know that that's going to be his new calculation. So what Billy's done, he's just found the simple reduction rather than the compound reduction. Okay, so do you remember? So it's going to be 18, so it's going to reduce 18% the first year, then you've got a new amount, and then it's going to be 18% off that. Okay, so it's a different reduction. So the car depreciates 20% each year, so the multiplier there will be 0.8 or 0.80. Write down the multiplier after 3 years. So that's going to be 0.8 to the power 3, which is actually 0.512. That's the answer there. So if you just put that, you're going to get 1 mark. If you've actually got that, you'd get the second mark because it just wants it as a decimal. Okay, number 10, just make sure it's lined up. So 2 cleaners, 6 hours to clean the house. So do you remember that's our inverse? So 6 times 2 is 12. So we know we're looking at 12 as our magic number. So how long will it take 3 cleaners? Or 3 times 4, so it'll take them 4 hours. Okay, what assumption have we made? That the cleaners work at the same rate. Okay. And more on the GCSE, you'll notice you get these, I call them like filler questions, 1 marker. I always think it's to make it up to 80, where it's like a common sense question. You have to think of about a little bit of a logic. Okay. Number 11. Okay, so we know that speed is distance over time. Okay, and we're wanting to know the distance, so it's going to be the speed multiplied by the time. So we know that the speed was 620 miles per hour. We want to know the time. Now we've got the time in hours and minutes, and we've got to have it in hours. So you can use your time key on your calculator. So if you're not sure how to use the time key, it's this button here. So if you want 6 hours 24, you press 6 hours 24 minutes. Press equals. Okay, press your time key again, and it gives you 6.4 hours. So if you didn't know how to convert it, okay, that's how you can use the time key if you don't know how to convert hours and minutes into hours. Okay, so times 6.4. Okay, which is, so the distance is going to be 3968 kilometres. Okay. Question 12, £2,000 invested for 3 years, so that's going to be £2,000 times, now you've got two ways of doing this. The reason I'm saying that is because here, work out the amount of interest, and this is a trap that a lot of people fall into. So a lot of people go, okay, the multipliers add because it's interest, so 1.015 to the power 3, which will give you £2,091.36. Or you could just find the interest, which is 0.015 to the power 3, which is £91.36. Now it only wants to know the interest. It doesn't want to know how much money is in your account. So some of you may have put this as your answer, but actually this is the answer. If you did it this way, you just need to take the £2,000 off that you were initially invested. Okay, but this is the final answer there. Okay, question 13. So a house increases by 10% the first year is bought, and then 12% in the second year after it's bought. What's the multiplier? Now, again, when you had this question before, some of you said, but I didn't know what it was originally. It doesn't matter. So the multiplier for 10% is 1.1, and the multiplier for 12% is 1.12. So if I times those out, I get 1.232. That means, so it just says what's the multiplier? That's the answer to this question. Essentially what that means is that overall house prices increased by 23.2% increase. Okay, but it just is asking you for what the multiplier is. Okay, this is a common question I keep seeing every year on the papers, so it's important that you get it done. So you've got two sets of values, and you have to know how proportional they are. Now you've got 4 options. The one I can see straight away that it's not inversely proportional, because x has increased and y has increased, so it's not that one. Okay, so I don't need to worry about that one. And then the best way of doing it is actually to go through and work things out. So first of all, I'm going to look if it's proportional. So y is proportional to x. So if y is proportional to x, just like that, and I say, okay, 176, okay, is k times 4. So k therefore would be 44. So y equals 44x. Okay, let's look at that equation. Does it fit into here? Okay, so 44 times 5. Okay, well, 44 times 5 is 275. It's not 275. Is not 275, so therefore it does not work. Okay, so we know it's not this one. So then we're going to try this one. So y is proportional to x squared. So if that was the case, we know that 176 is k times 4 squared is 16. Okay, so k must be 11. So y equals 11x squared. Let's see if that works for these numbers. So y equals 11 times 5 squared, and that does equal 275. Okay, so we know that it must be this one. Okay, right. Have I shown enough workings? Yes, I have, because I showed that it wasn't that one, and therefore it must be this one. Write a formula of y in terms of x. Well, I've got that here. Y equals 11x squared. Myrtle, that's an old-fashioned name, invests £4,000 at a rate of 1.9% interest. So the multiplier there would be 1.019. And we want to know when it's going to be more than 4,400. So pick a number. I'm going to start with 5 years, and that gives me 4394.72. You might have started off earlier. Then I'm going to try 5 years, so 6 years. Okay, and I get 447822. After how many years? After 6 years. Okay, so that's my final answer. Nearly there, guys. Right, number 16. Right, increase by 22% the first year. So we've got our value. So in 2014, so we've got our value in 2013. Okay, it increased by 22% the first year. Sorry. Okay, and then decreased by 20% the following year. And that gives an answer of 7,076. This is one of those reverse percentages things. So you want to find out what this value is here. So you'd simply, this is how I would do it anyway, 7,076 divided by that, and then that will give you the value in 2013. So I'm going to have 7076 divided by 0.8 divided by 1.22 gives me 7250. Okay. Last question. Yay. Right, so P is inversely proportional to the square of Q. That means Q squared. Again, a lot of you asked me that question. What does the square of Q mean? It means Q squared. So I've got to find my value of K. So my formula is going to look like P equals K over Q squared. Right, so I know P is 3.4 and Q squared is going to be 25. So I've got to find my value of K. That's going to be 85. So my formula is going to be P equals 85 over Q squared. So there's my formula. Find the value of P when Q is 2. P equals 85 over 2 squared. So therefore P is going to be equal to 21.25. Fantastic. Right, so what I want you to do is, obviously you've marked your work, it's out of 50, so quite easily put it as a percentage. Rag it. I want you to keep that really carefully and put it into your folder. I'm hoping now we've just finished unit 11 when you've done the assessment, and then definitely we can get unit 12 done, maybe start a little bit more of other things as well. You do have an assessment week as well later on this term, and that's going to be on everything in year 10 up to unit 10, so not this unit here. So it'll be different type of questions on those. Okay, so well done everyone. Okay, so hopefully I'll be looking for some really great scores on your assessment on the Active Learn that I've set up for you. Okay, so good luck, goodbye.